Hello and welcome back to Scout Report. With the Serie A season kicking off this weekend, all eyes are on Juventus and Andrea Pirlo. The legendary midfielder is entering the managerial world for the first time in one of European football's most demanding jobs. And with the side scraping the Scudetto in 2019-20, the 10th successive crown which Bianconeri fans are craving will likely be tougher to achieve than any of the club's previous 9 title wins. In fact, it's not even unreasonable to suggest that Juve are not favourites going into the new campaign. So here are 3 reasons why we could see them fall short this season. Managerial instability. Juve's near monopoly on Serie A during the 2010s was powered by 2 excellent managers, whose mix of tactical pragmatism, excellent man management and superb squad building ensured the most dominant period in the club's history. In fact, between 2010 and 2019, only one manager other than Antonio Conte and Max Allegri got their hands on the Scudetto, Jose Mourinho with Inter Milan right at the beginning of the decade. After Allegri left in 2019, Juve turned to Maurizio Sarri, who'd run the Bianconeri close in the title race on a couple of occasions as Napoli boss, but had never won any major silverware in Italy. He struggled to implement his style of football effectively in Turin, and his side ended up stumbling to the Serie A crown. They dropped 18 points from winning positions, lost 3 of their final 4 games, and finished just 1 point ahead of Inter, having conceded 43, the most goals shipped by an Italian champion since 1958. Furthermore, he couldn't get the best out of players like Aaron Ramsey and Federico Bernardeschi, who were underused and played out of position, and lost in big games like the Coppa Italia final against Napoli and the Champions League last 16 against Lyon. Ultimately, he failed to win the fans or hierarchy over, and was sacked after just 1 season. Chairman Andrea Agnelli's decision to give him his marching orders so quickly was clearly not part of the plan. After all, he was hired specifically for his possession-heavy, attacking football, which due to its high requirements of player fitness and understanding, was never realistically going to be perfected in a year. But it's well known that Sarri is far from the easiest manager to work with, and his relationship with his superiors as well as the players was evidently considered irreparable. What is puzzling, however, is the club's decision to replace him with Andrea Pirlo. The maestro is of course a Juve legend, having totally dictated the team's play during the first 4 years of their 2010 supremacy, providing 31 assists in 117 Serie A appearances from the base of midfield, and leading the squad in passes and chances created for 4 straight seasons. But he's barely qualified for the job, having been hired just 9 days after being appointed as the club's under-23s coach, and only receiving his coaching badges in mid-September. While it's generally known he wants to play a similar style to Sarri, we are yet to see the evidence of what that will look like. Pirlo's main focus will surely be on man management, something Sarri has had a poor record with post-Napoli, and which we can see him excelling at given his legendary status and the understated leadership he displayed as a player. But he's totally lacking in managerial experience, and as we've seen with other club legend coaches like Solskjaer, Lampard and even Zidane, this can be exploited in big games against more tactically astute rivals, and he has plenty of those. Conte is one of Europe's finest tacticians, while Gianpiero Gasperini and Simone Inzaghi have also built excellent reputations over the past few seasons, not to mention Pioli, Fonseca and Gattuso. Lose against them, and he will struggle to retain the title. After years of relative stability in the dugout, Juve decided to make a radical change at the first sign of trouble this summer. While keeping hold of Sarri may have been an even worse move, the hiring of Pirlo was one of the biggest gambles they could have taken. There's a chance it could pay off, especially in the long term, but it may well cost them the title this season. Poor squad building. But regardless of who has been managing Juve, the Bianconeri have looked increasingly unconvincing over the past few years. After reaching the Champions League final in 2017, they failed to make it past the quarters for 3 consecutive seasons, and in 2018-19, Allegri's final campaign, scored just 70 in the league, their worst goal tally since 2012, and conceded 30, their worst defensive record since 2011. So it wasn't as if Sarri had an easy job in the first place, and this is obviously true for Pirlo as well. Chairman Agnelli has himself admitted concern at the club's ageing squad, a predicament that has been particularly obvious since Cristiano Ronaldo was signed for €100 million at the age of 33 back in 2018. The commercial benefits of that deal were obvious and he has performed, but that summer they re-signed Leonardo Bonucci, who is now 33 and has 4 years left on his contract, and made their loan deal for Douglas Costa permanent to the tune of €40 million, with the 30-year-old Brazilian hampered by injury in the last 2 seasons, making just 14 league starts across both campaigns. As a result, Juve have the second oldest squad in Serie A, with an average of 28.1, which helps to explain why they were slow in taking up Sarri's high-energy style of play. And with a number of aging players on high wages and long contracts, plus the economic effects of COVID and an early exit from the Champions League, the Italian champions have been limited in their transfer activity, with a proposed move for Paul Pogba scuppered and the only permanent signing at the time of writing being that of Arthur. Gonzalo Higuain is left for Inter Miami, Sami Khedira also looks set to leave, and the club also wants to sell the aforementioned Costa, as well as Aaron Ramsey. Although finding buyers for players on such big salaries is a lot easier said than done in 2020. But while shifting dead wood is necessary, Pirlo could be left with a weaker squad than that which ended the 2019-20 campaign, especially if the proposed sales of Rugani and De Sciglio go through, which would leave the backline worryingly thin. And as we've established, they've been far from convincing in the last 18 months as it is. Last term, the Bianconeri ranked 7th in Serie A for expected goals from open play, 5th for progressive passes, and 6th for passes into the penalty area from open play, with Paulo Dybala the only squad member to hit over 2 per 90 in this metric. To add further context, Inter's Ashley Young performed better than Alexandro and Cuadrado in this regard. And while Cristiano Ronaldo equalled the club's record Serie A goal tally with 31, a whopping 39% of them came from the penalty spot, with just 55% scored from open play. Simply put, Juve are not creating nearly enough good quality chances, and they've now sold their second biggest chance creator in Pjanic. And with Higuain gone, Dybala and Ronaldo are the only two squad members to score over 4 league goals for the club last term. At the time of writing, the club are close to signing a striker, but they are arguably more in need of a creator. As things stand, Pirlo will need to place all his faith in Dejan Kulusevski, who in fairness does look excellent, having hit 10 goals and 8 assists for Parma last term, averaging an impressive 2.4 key passes per 90. Nevertheless, that's still a lot of pressure for the 20-year-old to take on, and if Ramsey really isn't in Pirlo's plans, it's difficult to see where the goals are going to come from in midfield. 2 years of disjointed squad building has left Pirlo with the toughest job any Juve coach has faced in some time, and with the side looking more vulnerable defensively than they have done in years, pressure really is on to implement a successful system quickly with limited resources. Strengthening rivals. But the truth is, Juve don't even need to get worse to lose the title, and even a modest improvement may not be enough. While the Bianconeri have regressed in the last 2 years, Inter and Atalanta have made a lot of progress. In 2019-20, Atalanta upped their shots per game from 16.9 the previous season to 18.7, and their expected goals took a similarly big leap, going from 66.8 in 18-19 to 81.9 last term. In both metrics, Ledeo went from 2nd to 1st in Serie A, and they scored 98 in total, the biggest tally scored by a club in the division since the early 50s. Inter also experienced a boost, with the hiring of Antonio Conte and the signing of Lukaku helping increase their goal output from 57 to 81 in just 1 season, even if their expected goals increase from 64.4 to 72.2 was more modest. To be fair, Juve's attacking output also increased in a historically goal-heavy season across Serie A, but as we've already established, were simply not at the levels of their rivals. And it's not even like they were harder to beat. Juve lost 7 games in the league, their most since 2010-11, while Atalanta lost 6 and Inter just 4. And the old lady also ranked marginally lower than them on expected goals against, and could only muster the 3rd best defensive record in the division. What's more, neither rival has sold any key personnel this summer, while the signings of Hakimi and Alexei Miranchuk will only strengthen them further. Following a transfer window affected greatly by the financial fallout of the global health crisis, as well as a shorter pre-season, clubs with already settled squads and with a well-ingrained philosophy, like Atalanta or Inter Milan, stand to benefit, whereas clubs at a crossroads like Juve have had little time to get their house in order. It could prove the difference in what promises to be another hotly contested race for the Scudetto. And that's all we have time for today, but let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please do give it a like and subscribe to the channel for more great content. Bye for now.